Hi guys, so today's video is going to be a review and a demo of Makeup Forever's new Pro Finish Pressed Powder Foundation. And this past weekend, I recently helped Mufi out in Boston with their Makeup Bag Remix tour. If you don't know what that is, I left a link in the description bar. You can go check out the info. And if you want, you can go to my Instagram, which is also in the description bar, and you can see photos of my personal experience. But it was amazing. It was totally educational and fun, and it was just awesome to be out there educating women. And this is what they said our goal was to empower women to be their own makeup artists, which really just inspired me truly, because that's ultimately my goal, to just help women love themselves, and that's what we were doing. It was amazing. But I met so many accomplished makeup artists that I totally admire, and they were so gracious as to teach us a few things. And we didn't have a lot of time to talk because it was just so crazy, but I just want to share with you what I've learned. And I actually do love this for a powder foundation. I normally don't really like powder foundations, but this one, it's totally customizable. So you kind of aren't stuck with just that powdery look that often powder foundations give. So what I mean by customizable is that it can be used wet or dry. You can get a sheer to full coverage. You can get a matte finish, a satin finish, a dewy finish. You can use it as a setting powder. It's just amazing. And I literally did at least 100 or more women's complexion just using Pro Finish, and it looked good on every single person. I shit you not. It was a miracle. It was amazing. It was an awesome experience. So I just want to share with you the ways to apply it. I'm going to explain the different ways you can apply it, and then I'm going to demo my favorite way to apply. It took Danny Sands, the creator of Makeup Forever, 7 years to perfect this powder. There is no more Duo Matte Powder. That was their other pressed powder foundation, but that one was just for oily combo skin. So this one is for all skin types. It has been dermatologist tested for all skin types. It got 4 out of 5 stars on Sephora.com. It's paraben free. It's oil free, mineral oil free. It does have an essential oil called Hymenia oil with an X, but I don't want you to be scared. It does not affect anyone's skin. It doesn't clog pores. It's an essential oil. If you want to learn about oils, you can watch my Skincare 101, but don't think it's going to clog your pores. It's for hydration and for a really nice glowy suppleness that powders don't normally give you. It also has what's called hyaluronic acid, which is naturally found in our own bodies. It's in our eyeballs. It's in our joints. And for makeup wise, it's used to bind moisture. So it draws in moisture from the air and infuses it into your skin, creating a nice hydrated hydrated finish. It also has lecithin polymers in it, which now we're getting super technical, but it's found in like eggs and wheat. It's like really sticky, but it's meant for long wear, and it's what makes the powder go back to powder after you wet it. Those are just some fun facts about it. But let's get into the different ways to apply. So like I said, it could be sheer to full coverage. Whatever one you want, it's possible with this. I'm number 120. There's 26 shades, and you will find a color for you, guaranteed. There's the palest pale all the way to a pretty dark one, so you don't have to worry about finding a color. There's 26 of them. I didn't have any trouble finding a color for the hundreds of women I did. If you want full coverage, it does come with a sponge. I don't have it. It's just a circular, regular sponge. You can apply, if you want a matte finish and full coverage with the sponge, you just sponge it on. You just want to make sure your skin is hydrated, and this has no SPF in it, so it is HD friendly or camera friendly. If you get that flashback, this won't happen with this. And with all makeup, not just this, but with all makeup, you do want to make sure you moisturize your skin beforehand. You can use whatever primer you want with it. It plays well with others. So yeah, if you want a full coverage, you're gonna use a sponge, and you're just gonna slap it on. It's as easy as that. Once your skin absorbs it, it's gonna be long wearing. Mine's lasted. I had a really long weekend. I wore it all weekend. I had 12-hour days, and it lasted well beyond the 12 hours. So it's pretty long. But like I said, no SPF, so if you're going to wear it during the day, I suggest you wear your SPF so you have some kind of protection from the sun. Another way to apply it is wet. So typically when you wet a powder foundation, it'll give you more coverage, but this one is going to give you a sheer to moderate coverage when you wet it, and it's going to leave a satin finish. So dry is going to be matte, wet is going to be satin. And what I found is that when you're supposed to get a sponge, immerse it completely in water till it's totally damp, not soaking wet, and then emulsify it in the compact. But I find that it kind of ruins it a little. I mean, you get this little film here. It's going to happen no matter what. A way to get rid of it is to just get some tape and put it on there and then take it off, and it'll come off. But to help prevent this, I have found that it's easier to take a spray bottle, and I prefer to use a setting spray so that way it has longer longevity. So the one I've used before is Kat Von D, but what you could also use is anything that's mostly water. So you could just use water like in a spray bottle, or you could use like a toning mist or something like that. But it's easier to spray your face, like get your face nice and damp, and then take a buffing brush and go into it dry, and then buff it into the wet spray you sprayed on your face. I found that that's a little bit easier than getting the compact itself wet. So that's an option. But of course you can, the way they explain it is to get a sponge or a wet brush and emulsify it in the compact. So that's one way. That's going to leave a sheer to moderate coverage with a satin finish. And all satin is just, it's not like flat, but it's not extremely like dewy. It's just like right in the middle. It's a sheen, like a natural finish. And then another way, which is the way I'm going to show you, and this was taught to me by Brittany, one of the Makeup Forever educators, is to take their primer or any one of their primers. I'm using number 6. It's an illuminizing primer. Let me get my hair out of the way and take my earrings off. So you take the primer, and because I want an illuminated finish, I don't like to be matte. Even though I'm oily, I don't like to be matte, but I want to be glowy looking. So I'm going to take the number 6 primer, and I'm going to take their Uplight in number 12. It has like a golden yellow undertone. And Brittany said that the reason why this works to wet the foundation is because they're mostly water. So you'd put water on your face to get the wet application. So this is basically replacing water, but you're achieving a different effect. So what you do is you take your illuminizer, and I've tried it with other illuminizers. I experimented. I tried the MAC Luster Drops. They dry too fast, so I think there's too much silicone in there for it to distribute evenly, so it was kind of getting patchy. It was drying too fast, so that didn't work. I also tried the Buxom Venus Divine Goddess Luminizer. It's oil-free, it's still water-based, but it doesn't have as much water as these items did. So they didn't work as well, but you can use those if you want to. So taking a few pumps of the illuminizer, number 12, the Uplight, and then taking a few pumps of the primer, and we're going to mix those together. Just like that. And then when we apply it, you want to do one section at a time, and you don't want to rub it in. You want it to be wet, just like we sprayed our face or something. We want it to be pretty wet, just like that. And they do have a brush that's meant to go with it. It's the 110, oh shoot, I'm dripping. It's the 110 Makeup Forever Bullet Brush. It works awesome. I'm going to take it dry into my 120 foundation and just get it all over. And we're going to buff it into that the wet primer and illuminizer we put on. And I actually really enjoy this because it's not heavy at all. And applying it this way, it makes it so it looks glowier looking and it doesn't look powdery at all. Look at that. It just doesn't look powdery. And you can see how it just evened me out. It's very lightweight. We're going to put a little more on my forehead. I'm just doing one side first so you guys can see the difference. Again, we're going to twist it all up in there and we're going to buff it on. And this brush feels so amazing. It's like the softest kabuki brush I've ever used before. We're going to put some right on my nose. There you go. Look at that. Look how nice and even. I barely put any on. It's not completely matte, but it gave me good coverage. And if you do want more coverage, if you apply this way, you can just go back in with a dry brush and take it dry and buff it in, and it'll give you more coverage. I think I'm good on the coverage. I think that's enough. But it's just so lightweight. It doesn't feel heavy at all. It feels actually really good. It's kind of like a cooling sensation with the uplight and the primer. And it's really fast. Like usually you gotta warm up liquid foundations and you gotta build it really steadily. But this, you know, you don't really need much. You just have to roll the brush in it and it just happens to be enough. It's actually really enjoyable. I like it a lot. So you can also use this as a setting powder, and then if that's the case, then you're just going to use a fluffier brush, you know, something that's fluffy. And when you set, you want to make sure you're always pressing and rolling so you get that powder into whatever you're setting, so it kind of holds on to it better. Alright, so just a quick FYI, if you do happen to wear it wet, and it is a long wear, so sometimes if it dries too fast, it can be a little bit tough to blend it out again, but don't fret. All you gotta do is just rehydrate the skin with water or setting spray, whatever one you used, and then just continue to buff it in. You just have to rehydrate it, because the lecithin polymers, you know, it changes the formula when you wet it to dry quickly, because that's its job. That's what it's meant to do. So all you got to do is rehydrate it and then buff again. And voila, this is what it looks like, and it's super lightweight. Alright, so let's recap. If you want a full coverage, you're going to use it dry. You can use the sponge inside, or you can use a dense buffing brush. If you want a sheer to moderate coverage, you're going to use it wet. You can spray your face with water, toning mist, or a setting spray. Spray your face, use a brush, go into the product dry, and buff it into the wetness. If the wetness happens to dry too quickly before you can buff it out, just rehydrate your face, respray it, and continue buffing. The way I did it gives me a medium coverage with a soft dewy finish, and what I did is use my primer and a highlighter. And again, I only experimented with 2 other options, but if you have an illuminizer that's mostly water and a primer, then it should be fine. It should work awesome. So that's it. I hope you guys found this informational. I hope you guys go out and try it for yourself so you can see how awesome it is. And thank you for watching. Bye.